Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so happy to see everyone here. I know it's probably going to take another minute for people to trickle in. So what I'm going to ask of you is, as we're waiting, if you could please identify yourself in the chat, write your name, the organization you're with, and then as an extra bonus round this morning, I'd also like for you to share your affirmation word, a word that describes yourself, a strength that you have. And yeah, I appreciate that if you would share that with your info. Some more people. Oh, can we turn on the caption, Sarah? I haven't seen a positive affirmation word yet. Mine is resilience. Just a thought, if anybody likes to share. I won't make you talk about it. Passionate, yes. I love that. Thank you. Radical acceptance. I love that. That is a powerful one, and I'm holding on to that. Reliable. Yes, thank you. Compassionate is a huge, huge quality. Thank you, Joy. Thank you all for sharing and opening up this morning. And as people keep entering into the room and putting their information in the chat, I'd like to share a little bit more information for our newer people about Connect OC, which is a program under the organization Partners for Wellness. And Partners for Wellness strives to create partnerships with community organizations, mental health professionals, schools, universities, and to create meaningful programs that are culturally responsive, trauma-informed, and to bring people together to share vital mental health resources. My name is Erin O'Flaherty. I am the Community Engagement Manager for Connect OC under Partners for Wellness, and I get the great honor and privilege of hosting these coalition meetings every other month. And then I also manage our cultural arts and mental health outreach program that we work with high-risk communities and share an innovative platform and engagement to reach communities that are more isolated and at higher risk. So I will go ahead and start passing it around to our team. Crystal, if you'd like to share your info and then popcorn it over to more of our team members.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am Crystal Bleischer. I'm the program director with Partners for Wellness, specifically overseeing our Connect OC project. So happy to be here and happy to discuss this topic today. Sarah, I'll throw it to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Chalice. I'm one of the outreach coordinators on the team. I specifically oversee event coordination, like our large-scale resource fairs on all our college campuses. And I also co-host the meeting with Erin. I'll pass it to Vivi.
Morning, everyone. I'm Vivi Vu. I'm also one of the outreach coordinators, but I mainly focus on marketing and social media. So any of the things you see online or in our newsletters, that's us. So if you have any events you want to promote, feel free to drop it in the chat or send it to us later, and we'll be able to add it to our calendar. I'll popcorn over to Joy.
Hi everyone, I'm Joy Medina. I'm also an outreach coordinator on the team and I help out with networking and also with the events that we have and put on. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much to our team. And before I get started with our keynote speaker that I'm really looking forward to discussing important topics with today, I do want to acknowledge that in this world today, things can be really heavy and there's a lot that can weigh on us. And we're definitely under an onslaught of constant information and communication and awareness of events that are, can be obviously way out of our control. So we're going to begin with a very quick mindfulness exercise this morning. Try to release some of that tension and center ourselves going into a great weekend. So if you'd like to close your eyes, if you'd like to keep them open, that's fine as well. But we're going to start with rolling our shoulders back. Just try to drop those shoulders where they were probably all the way up by your ears. Just roll your shoulders back. And now if you want to pull your arms behind your back, if that's comfortable for you and you're able, and feel that stretch. And then we're going to move our fingers. Raise your arms all the way up to the sky. Feel that stretch. Try to meet your hands together. And then slowly let that down. And then let's do that one more time, all the way to the sky. Concentrate on slowing your breathing. Now release those arms back down to your sides. And now let's just take a couple breaths in. We'll breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, 2, 3, 4, and then release that breath, 2, 3, 4. And then this time as you breathe again, I want you to have your feet planted firmly on the floor, centered in where you are today, not worrying about what happens after this or what you brought in this morning, but where you are right now. And then also, as you breathe in again, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And as you release that breath, concentrate and think about a light that is in your core, a light that's at the center of you. And we release some of those things that are out of our control. Thank you so much for engaging in that with me. I think we need moments that we look out for ourselves and for our mental health and just be in the moment who we authentically are and what we're able to control. And now I'm excited to introduce Hanna Ibrahim. She's the Affordable Housing Manager for this amazing organization called Families Forward. And she has graciously agreed to share more information today on the work of Families Forward. And it's definitely a very prevalent and relevant issue with families in crisis in Orange County. So Hanna, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm excited to hear your presentation.
Awesome. Erin, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm sorry you're going to hear a lot of my voice today because there's just a lot to talk about. Give me one second. Okay, I just want to make sure, can you guys see that?
Yes. Looks
Okay,
good.
awesome. Okay, so I have been working for an organization called Families Forward. It'll be 7 years next month, but have been working with low-income families and populations for about at least 10 years now. Families Forward is a Orange County-based nonprofit. We are headquartered in the city of Irvine, but we serve all over Orange County. Our major mission is to end family homelessness in Orange County. We started in 1984 with just 5 rented apartments, which we operated as transitional housing for homeless families. And in that period since then, we have just grown so much. And I'm excited to share about all of the work that we do in the county. Like I said, our mission is to exist to help families achieve and maintain self-sufficiency, not only through housing, but through food, counseling, and other supportive services, like career counseling. I just want to share a couple data points about family homelessness. It may not be something you're super familiar with. Family homelessness for us means there are a lot of homeless individuals and groups of people in Orange County, in California particularly. Our organization specifically works with families that have a minor child in the household. So we don't work with individuals. And the data points tend to be different between homeless individuals or adults and homeless family and households. So every 2 years, the county conducts something called a point in time. You might hear it referred to as the PIT. And there is a 24-hour period where a group of agencies and volunteers are going out into Orange County, both during the day and at night, and just looking for people that appear to be homeless. It's a pretty interesting research exercise. I encourage you, if this is something you're interested in learning more about, to volunteer to do that. I always sign up for the research component at night. So you're going out at like 3 a.m. in the morning. You're going out with like a homeless liaison through the police department, so it is very safe. And they are sharing with you locations and encampments where they know homeless individuals or families are. And you are surveying how many people were homeless in Orange County on this one day, this 24 hours. And they extrapolate the information collected to project how many people are actually homeless in Orange County for that year. And then we report that information back to at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, and at the federal level with HUD to help say this is the actual need and this is where the funding needs to be to meet the need. So we are due for another point in time count this January 2026. If you just Google that, that is something that you can definitely sign up for, and we always need a lot of people. So the last point in time count in 2024, 443 adults and 685 children were identified as homeless families living in Orange County. Homeless families is also known as hidden homelessness because you tend to see a lot more of homeless individuals living on the street, right? And they're much more visually evident versus if you are responsible for a minor child, you're going to go to a more protected area if you don't have housing. Living in cars, I've had families living in storage units, living in unfinished garages, couch surfing, which means you're just sleeping on a couch of a family member or friend that is not a permanent housing. Or sometimes camping, right? Where the kids just think they're on this extended camping trip in a tent, but they're not really camping. They don't have anywhere to go. And then, of course, living in emergency homeless shelters for families in Orange County. So more than 28,000 school-age children in Orange County are homeless or housing insecure at this point in time. There are a lot of different stigma associated with being homeless. I think I have worked a lot with professional organizations, employers, and there's just kind of this thing that, oh, if you're homeless, maybe you have a drug issue, maybe there's a mental health issue, right? And that is definitely can be true for the homeless individuals that you're and those encampments that you are familiar with in like Skid Row. The real thing for Orange County, living in California, especially if you're a renter, you know how expensive housing is in Orange County. So with family homelessness, there is no underlying condition that is contributing to a family being homelessness other than just the expensive housing compared to the minimum wage. So just looking at the numbers, you need to be earning $54 an hour, which is 3.3 times the state minimum wage to afford the average rent in Orange County. The average minimum wage is $17 or $18 an hour. So you can have a single parent working full-time, working overtime, and still not be able to make rent on a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom in Orange County. So 81% of people, households spend over half their income on housing. The recommended percentage is 30%. So maybe if you're living in another state, that's doable based on income, but we know living in Orange County, that's not possible. Most people's income is just completely eaten up by that rent payment every month, which means they have very little money set aside for utilities, for food, for emergencies. And so that's really the big thing of, you know, you have one missed paycheck, you have a sick child, you can't take them to daycare, so you have to take time off work. It's as simple as missing a week or two of work and not being able to make that rent payment, and then just literally losing housing and being evicted is really what we're seeing with families. So I just want to go over the programs that we offer through Families Forward. So we have several major programs. Our biggest one obviously is housing, and it's kind of our foundational program. We have rapid rehousing and we have affordable housing, and I'll get more into those. We have prevention and diversion. We have career services, mostly because we're working with adults to increase their income and be able to access housing. We do counseling, we do food pantry, and we do seasonal programs. So rapid rehousing, basically, it's one of our bigger programs. We are being connected to families that are experiencing literal homelessness through the coordinated entry system through the county. And then they are getting a case manager that is working to connect them within 3 months back to permanent housing, getting on a lease, moving into an apartment. We're assisting with move-in and subsidized rent for about 3 months. And then during the time that they're open with us, working on any barriers that may prevent them from keeping housing once we exit them and leave them on their own. This program emphasizes short-term and emphasizes short and long-term assistance to help move people into housing. We typically assist with move-in costs. They get a care team model. So not only every family is assigned a case manager, but they're also getting a career coach and a counselor to work with them on any other needs as well. Despite that, clients still need to get approved for housing on their own merit, right? Credit score, income, debt. They're still going through a normal application process that any normal renter would go through too. So that's that program. Our goal with that program is to get a family housed within 45 days of entering that program, which can be a little bit tricky. We also have affordable housing, which is the program that I oversee. I'm biased. This is my favorite program. But we have a very visionary CEO that's worked in this field for a long time, and she believes that the real way to end family homelessness in Orange County is just to create affordable housing, right? Because we know that families can work as much as they can and still not be able to afford fair market rate. So one of our major works that we've done over the last 15 years is increasing access to affordable housing in Orange County or developing our own affordable housing. So currently we oversee or own a total of 131 units throughout Orange County, which is pretty impressive seeing that we've done that really within like a 10-year period. So we're moving families that were literally homeless into these units, and then we continue to case manage them over the years of their tenancy to ensure that they don't lose housing. So we're in most major cities in Orange County with our housing. We're in Costa Mesa, we're in Irvine, we're in Tustin, we're in Mission Viejo, and most recently we're in the city of Orange. So this is a typical example of one of our units that we own. We tend to partner with cities to get funding to buy set-aside condos and townhomes that then we own and operate as affordable housing. So this is an example of an 8-plex that we have in the city of Costa Mesa. We actually purchased this 8-plex that was pretty run down from another organization, and then we did a complete rehab on it and opened 8 units up in Orange, in Costa Mesa. So that's what we tend to do is we purchase 4-plexes or 8-plexes, and then we rehab them and then bring them onto the market as affordable housing. And so the other thing that we do is we partner with developers in Orange County. So we have developers that specialize in affordable housing. And they do that because one, it's awesome to provide affordable housing in Orange County, but they're also getting a tax credit for those properties. So it is profit-based. And we're coming on board and saying, hey, let us partner with you to be on site at these communities to provide case management so that these families don't lose housing once they move in. And that has been a really successful model for us. In these housing communities, we're providing case management, we're providing after-school programs, we're providing food pantry services. And we've seen working with these developers over the years that those resources on site are really preventing most families from falling out of housing. And then we have our homeless prevention program. And there's 2 main components to this program. One, we're working with families that are literally homeless. They may have literally just lost housing yesterday. And they can't just walk into an agency and get services. So what they need to do is work with us to get connected to the county because there's a virtual queue for services to get connected. And working with them to see, hey, while we're waiting in the queue, is there a way that I can get you quickly housed? So you're not waiting in the queue for months to get services. Can we continue to work with you until you're accepted? The other thing that they're doing is they're doing homeless prevention, which means, hey, families are reaching out to us. They missed their rent payment. Maybe something happened. Can we cut a check for them for rent, just a one-time assistance to prevent them from becoming homeless? Because we know it's much more expensive and much more time-consuming for a family to be evicted and get rehoused versus it's way less money to just cut that check and that family stays sustainably housed and the children aren't experiencing any trauma from losing housing. So with that prevention, they're receiving community resources, security deposit assistance, and emergency rental assistance. And then with that literally homeless program, they're receiving those same services. And then they're also trying to work with them to get them into the shelter system and getting connected to a program that's going to continue to work with them on long-term housing support. And then Family Support is also an access point. What that means is we are in a collaborative of other homeless service provider agencies. This is the collaborative. So you can see it's about 30 agencies throughout Orange County that are all working together in homeless services. And basically we're partnering together to be efficient. So, if a family's reached out to 5 different agencies to see who's going to serve them fastest or compare services, they're getting streamlined to one major provider, and that's operating based off of zip code. So you can see that you can go to their website if you're curious to know which agencies serve which zip codes. But the best thing you can do is kind of look up, if I'm working with someone that needs support, you can call 211, or you can look up this website and say, oh, based on my zip code, I should call Families Forward, or I should call Illumination Foundation, and there's going to be a much quicker connection to getting started with the process versus getting passed around to 10 different agencies that say, oh, I don't serve this area. You're going to have to call someone else. So the 2 areas that we specifically serve, we are serving families from all around Orange County, but as access points, we're serving Central SPA and South SPA. So you can see those are the cities that we tend to work with the most based on our funding, and then just based on physical location. Since our office is in Irvine in South County, it's more convenient for us to serve families based in that area as well, because they can get to us quicker. And then if you have a family in need, whether it be rental assistance, whether it be they just lost housing and need connection to the system, there's something called a service request form where you can go online or you can call, and you're going to fill out this form, and it's going to go back into this that umbrella of agencies. There's an agency that oversees those forms, and then they're directing the family. This person at this agency is going to give you a call and start the process of determining what services you need and entering you into the queue to receive services. So through this form, all families are going to receive a call within 3 business days. It doesn't mean they're going to be eligible, but they are going to get a call back no matter what they've put on that form. So these are the types of questions that are on the form. Are you residing in Orange County? Obviously, if you're not, you're going to get connected to a different system. So for example, a family, LA County has their own system. If we're getting calls from people that aren't in Orange County, we're going to refer them back because that's not how our resources work. Is anyone in your household a veteran? So there is very specific funding for veterans to take advantage of. And then they might ask, what type of insurance do you have? Because in the last year, actually, Cal Optima has started a program where they can assist through their insurance coverage for members of their insurance to provide move-in assistance, which has been really helpful for families. Is anyone in the family currently pregnant? Do you have any minor children? Where did you stay last night? And so those are just the type of assessment questions. Based on the answers, they're going to be able to determine, oh, you're pregnant, I can refer you to a shelter that specifically works for pregnant women. You have a minor, you don't have a minor, I'm going to refer you to the individual system versus the family system. So just things like that. And then I also just want to highlight our community market. So this has been a big thing from us. We've been operating a food pantry out of our Irvine headquarters for at least 20 years now. It's super cool because it's completely staffed by volunteers. So that is a really special thing to have. We have volunteers that have been showing up for their same weekly shift for 20 years, and they just have complete control. So for a long time, we just had families coming to us and we would be handing them a bag of prepared food with basics, pasta, peanut butter, cereal, tomato sauce, things like that, where most people are going to eat it. And then last year, we kind of just had this shift of, we want to switch to a client choice model where families can come in and shop for their own food, especially if they're vegan, if they have any food intolerances. We want to add fresh produce and meat to our market as well. So we got funding to kind of turn our food pantry into, it's my favorite thing. It's like a tiny little Trader Joe's in our building. And it's just the best thing we've seen since we opened it. More people are coming to us than ever before, which is awesome. But also it just shows that need out there with food insecurity. I just got a report yesterday that we have 1,000 people walking into our community market every month. But we don't have the food donations to meet that demand. So that's something we're currently working with, is how do we continue to be able to serve this many people with this new model and ensure that we're always going to have open doors and food to provide them. But if you know anyone that would benefit from this in South County, we're open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 3. They can always call our main number to get registered for that service. We don't do walk-ins. We operate off of an appointment system. And then the seasonal programs that we offer, we do back to school in August, and we just wrapped that up a couple weeks ago. So that's a picture from a couple weeks ago where we served one of our communities. All the kiddos get a brand new backpack with school supplies for the new school year. We do Thanksgiving in November, so all of our families get a Thanksgiving basket with the Thanksgiving food items and a gift card for protein. And then Holiday Wish is a big one in December, where donors are adopting families and helping families with Christmas presents for the holidays. And then I just want to highlight the Partners for Wellness partnership that we've been piloting for about almost a year now. So we have started doing after school programs and adult education and family workshops at all of our on-site housing communities. And Partners for Wellness has come in to be a really great partner and facilitator for us on those self-sufficiency goals, working together to provide community building and resilient families. So their facilitators have been coming in a couple times a month to do family creativity and mental health workshops. And the focus is well-being, resilience, and connection, and promoting holistic well-being through prevention, education, and community engagement. And these have been such a huge thing for us. Christina and Emily, and I know Christina's on the call, have just become members of our community where they are building such wonderful relationships with our kiddos and families on site. So keep in mind that these are all families that were formerly homeless coming into these communities. They have a lot of trauma to work through now that they're stably housed. And this has been such a wonderful space for families to come together and just, be free to be together and not be stressed and work on just family bonding. So this has been a really huge thing for us. Especially one of the things I wanted to point out is we serve a lot of minors. We don't specifically serve TAY youth, but we have a lot of adults that became parents very, very early, maybe 17, 18, 19, 20. And so this has also been a space for them to come back and kind of just focus on them, right? Some joy for themselves, figuring out what they want to do. And so as much as kiddos love to come in and work on an art project with Christina, we actually see a lot of adults showing up with or without kids and saying, this is my time. And I'm going to sit here for an hour or two and just be free to create. And so that has been really special to see and something we want to continue to nurture and provide through this partnership with Partners for Wellness. So that kind of gives you a brief sense of what we do at Families Forward. I do want to open it up to any questions or discussions at this point.
Anna, thank you so very much. That was a beautiful presentation, and thank you so much just for sharing this information, because I think, as you and I have spoken about, people can be locked into a certain definition of what they consider homelessness to be. And so they think, oh, like that they do have a mental health issue, that is the people living in tent communities. But as we really look at how easily it can be for families that we may know, people in our neighborhoods, people that go to our churches, that because of the rent to income disparity, and because then they're not prepared for any sort of financial crisis, if they don't have family support or any sort of buffer, how close they are to experiencing homelessness at a rapid rate. And so it's been amazing to work with Families Forward and to really discuss with you more, broadening this definition of homelessness and what it looks like for people that we know, and that there isn't that great divide, that it could also, it could happen to any of us. And so I think that raises that level of compassion too, and also can motivate us to help in different ways that we can. The numbers that you said of 28,000 school-age children homeless or housing insecure is definitely very staggering and devastating to hear. And so we appreciate the work of what you're doing. And I think I'd like to start off the questions, and we'll definitely want to take questions from the group as well. I thought we would talk a little bit about current financial and humanitarian need climates that are, within Orange County that could be contributing towards an uptick in homeless families, and what have you seen as families come in to your organization?
Yeah. Well, I know that we know with this new administration, there's been a lot of cuts to social service programs. And so, every week there's kind of something new where there's just kind of another blow to programs and supports that are in place specifically for low-income families to keep them thriving. So, we just got that update that CalFresh benefits are going to get cut, and food insecurity is already such an issue in this county. So I have a lot of families that are barely making it as is with their previous CalFresh benefits coming and saying, what am I going to do? Right? My CalFresh benefits are going to get cut. So just the rising cost of living that was already such an issue here under different political administrations, we just know is going to get worse as these things go into effect. And we were already in a housing crisis before. Like the queue to get services is you don't call and get a call back of saying, hey, you've been connected to our program a week later. There's literally, it's a virtual queue, but if you look at the names on the list, it's hundreds of names on a list just waiting to get served and start the process. And so we know that's going to get even worse. It's like a fire hose, right? We were already in a really bad place, and we just know the coming months and years, it's going to get worse. So just agencies getting really creative, especially as, a lot of these agencies do rely on federal funding, right? For food programs and housing programs. We get funding directly from HUD to help us house families. And then the other piece of coming with that is saying who you can and can't serve. And we've always maintained that we will serve anyone. But when funding is coming with a dictation of, hey, you now need to figure out if the person you're serving has citizenship status, right? And so we're of the belief that anyone deserves housing, regardless of immigration status. But what we're also seeing in communities is, we have families that they have adult members in the household that may not be here, may not have formal status, and then they're too scared to go to work. They can't go to work, they can't pay their rent, right? Even though they're legally housed. And so just trying to manage all of these same things happening at the same time, and now also trying to figure out, hey, is Medi-Cal going away? Is basic health insurance going away? Are families going to stop going to the doctor because they can't afford it? Is just trying to manage all of these things at the same time, that all impact self-sufficiency for a family. So just, I think we're all in it together of how do we continue to serve our communities with the resources we have. And I think it's about coming together and getting creative about what we can and do without those supports that were in place before.
Yeah. And we appreciate the thought and the work that you're putting into sustaining programs, especially when we consider it's children whose lives are at stake. It's, future transitional age youth who will take some of this PTSD or all of it into their lives as they move forward, of facing the fact of losing their stability with their family and not having that home. And so I think you're right, just approaching it from, it's a human standpoint, that, innocent people are being affected in so many ways. And so I think, I know across the board, a lot of organizations, are concerned about funding, and funding is changing so rapidly. And so I think it can be an overwhelming challenge to think of, okay, but what can we do individually? And are there, I know you mentioned the food pantry as a need. Is that something that people can volunteer for? Is that something that they can contribute to? And if that's something we can share through our network?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, our food pantry has been completely staffed by volunteers through their time and resources since it started.
Yeah.
And so we're just currently seeing there's a huge gap between the amount of people coming in for food versus what we have on the shelves. No one's walking away empty-handed, but maybe before we were providing more, and we have to kind of cut back a little bit to make sure we're providing something for everyone who walks through the doors. So we have, individuals driving up to our food pantry, dropping off a couple bags of food because they cleaned out their pantry. We have corporate groups coming in for a day of service of, we're going to do food drives, churches doing food drives for us, schools doing food drives, or, we can't do a food drive, but we're going to come in and work your pantry for a day as a day of service. So literally anything helps. And if you're interested in finding more, you can just call our main number and connect to our pantry coordinator of saying, what do you need right now? And then we have Thanksgiving coming up, which is such a food-based holiday. And, we serve so much more people that month because of our Thanksgiving program of, hey, I'm going to drop off some boxes of stuffing or gravy or things that this is important for me to have on my table for Thanksgiving. Maybe just considering what would I want to come drop by a couple bags of that item. It's all going to go out and get used by our families for that holiday.
That's amazing. Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind sharing the contact info for the person, that so that people can arrange food drives, or just personally if they want to donate, that would be wonderful. I appreciate that. As you're sharing that info, and I know we talked about some of the stigma around people who are experiencing homelessness, and I know we talked about a couple of assumptions that you've seen in our previous conversations, but can we talk about the assumption sometimes people come in and say, oh, but this is my tax dollars at work, and what is your response to that?
Yeah, I think that people assume, especially with formal affordable communities, that their taxes are going to build and provide those communities and pay rent on those communities, but that's not actually what's happening. Like I mentioned, that as much as affordable housing developers are in it to provide affordable housing because they think it's the right thing to do, they are also benefiting off of, they have to raise that money themselves to develop those communities, right? They're owned by private individuals, so they're not getting money to build those communities, right? They are fundraising based on partners and investors, just like any private venture. And then the people that are going into these communities are fully paying 100% of rent themselves. The rent may be lower to meet the affordable housing qualification, but that money is coming directly from their paychecks. So I do think it is a big misconception that tax dollars are going to fund people living in these communities. It's not actually what's happening.
Thank you for clarifying that, and definitely useful information. Also, we talked about one of the stigmas is that people often assume that that people who need rapid housing or people experiencing homelessness are not working. And so if you could please share your perspective on that as well.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I said about there just being that huge gap between minimum wage and what housing actually costs, right? There's kind of a reason we don't have a middle class in Orange County because there's such a big gap, right? And there's a reason we don't have home ownership in Orange County anymore unless you're a millionaire. It's just, I have people coming in that are literally homeless, and I can look at their work history and see that they've been employed at the same employer for 7 or 8 years. There's been no break in employment. They just can't keep up with rising housing. Most of the people that I'm serving coming in as literally homeless have a track record of employment and are working not only the 40 hours a week, but overtime and still not being able to qualify for housing. The other big thing that I see, I would say like 80% of the families I see are single mother households that maybe they were in a relationship with someone and it turned out to be a domestic violence relationship. And in leaving their abuser with their children, they have lost half of their rent payment, and that is also how they've lost housing. So I think both of those things are very much true. It's very rare that I'm working with a family that's just not working. And they're not going to get housed if they're not working. You have to be working in Orange County to get approved for housing with any normal landlord. So I think that's the other big thing of, oh, you're homeless, you must be lazy, right? You must just not want to work. And the people that I work with, the adults that I work with, are some of the hardest working people I've ever met, and are doing a day job and a night job just to keep the bills paid. Especially my single mothers. They're doing everything they need to be doing and more than a normal person just to keep it all in balance. So
Yeah, I mean, it's truly a testament to people too who are most likely living in their cars and then still getting up, like I said, and working at least 1 or 2 jobs a day and getting their kids to school and the kids trying to concentrate in school and just functioning in that, really, just unstable environment. And but yes, I love that you said that they're working so hard and they're doing everything that they can. And I think it's good for people to see it from that perspective. Um, you talked about the domestic violence survivors and their likelihood, and what do you also see within youth transitioning out of the foster care system and how that looks like when they come to Families Forward?
yeah, so what I would say is we do work with a lot of former TAY youth that are now adults and have aged out into the adult system. And what we're seeing there is this person had a very traumatic childhood where maybe they had to leave home early, or they didn't have the support they needed at home, or suffered abuse or some kind of trauma that really set them up for their path forward into homelessness. So I work with a lot of young adults that have been very upfront about being former TAY youth and now have their own children. And so it's just, they have not gotten the life lessons they needed from a stable household when they were younger. So you kind of see that cycle repeat itself. And that's why we have programs and partner with facilitators like Partners for Wellness, because we're really trying to figure out how to break that cycle of one, giving that young adult or even middle-aged adult that still just hasn't had those life lessons, those life skills now. But that is also why we have had such a big push to start after-school programs of saying, how do we get to these kiddos earlier to start providing a stable environment, support they need to get through school and things like that to help break that cycle as well.
It's amazing. Yes, definitely. Very effective, I'm sure. we've talked about, because I don't specifically serve transitional age youth, but I know that they are a part of the families that you serve, and we definitely have interaction with them as we're sharing the cultural arts workshops, looking at studies, and as I mentioned before, transitional age youth who have experienced homelessness during their formative years. Develop a level of PTSD that can lead to depression and anxiety, higher rates of suicide, and even substance abuse as they just try to cope with that trauma and not having the security of that moving forward. And so, do you see a lot of young adults and even teenagers that they are able to take part in the counseling services, and has that been helpful? And is that something that is open to all ages? What are your therapies?
Yeah. I would say personally, a big thing I see is once a family is housed, I kind of get this pattern of 3 months into being stably housed, and one of the adults in the household will come to me and say, I can't stop crying, or I feel so sad. I should be happy because I'm housed. And what I tell them is what I've learned is when they were in that trauma of being homeless, they were kind of in fight or flight mode, or they just repressed anything that was happening down to just get to the next day. And
Yeah,
now you realize you're stably housed, you're safe, and it's not going anywhere. Your body is kind of giving yourself permission to feel all the things that you were putting off, whether it was just like the recent trauma of having been homeless with your kids, or even just like a lot of past trauma from their childhood coming up of now I'm finally like in a point where my body wants me or my brain wants me to deal with this. It's a
yeah,
huge issue of like, I'm severely depressed and I should be happy. And it's the conversations of it is absolutely normal for you to feel this way. And then let's focus on getting you connected to counseling so you don't lose track of all your progress, right?
yeah,
So we offer counseling in-house. We do adult counseling. We used to offer minors, but we don't have that specialty in-house anymore. So we try to take advantage of partner relationships of we'll do a screening. We'll see if they're a good fit for our counselors. If not, we'll do a warm handoff to one of our partners that might be like Hogue, or work with the family to go through their health insurance to get that appropriate referral, or even with the kiddos going through our school district partners and liaisons to make sure that if there's a program within school that they're going to be able to easier access to go through those partners as well.
yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And definitely, I'm sure accomplishes so much to offset those later factors. Um, I also, I believe we had spoken before you were going to share a personal story of a family that's reached success.
Yes.
There's put you on the spot, but we'd love to hear a specific example.
Yeah, so I'm sitting in one of our most recent housing communities in the city of Orange. And so back in April of 2024, we started the lease up process for this community with our partner. We have 40 units out of 60 units set aside for families that are literally homeless. And some of the families were referred to us through the coordinated entry system. One of the adults that was referred to me to work through a housing application for this community, it's a single mom, 22 years old. She's got 3 kids under the age of 5. That's a lot to deal with as a 22-year-old, right? Of, I just became an adult. I'm technically still a child myself, and then I've got 3 young kids to take care of, and I'm a single parent. So we worked with her to get her approved for this community, based on her income. And then she's been stably housed at this community with her kiddos for about a year now. And she has used the time in this community and paying affordable rent to go back to school. So she wanted to go to school to be an LVN. She just recently last month graduated her program, and is now applying for jobs in healthcare, which is super excited because she's going from making, I don't know, she was on, benefits, and now she's going to be eligible to start applying for jobs that pay her over $30 an hour. And then not only working that, but working with her case manager here on site to ensure all 3 kiddos are in childcare or in school. Everyone is taken care of. Everyone's working on their education, and she's still housed a year later as a single parent. It's just something super exciting for us to see. And we had our back to school event at this community, like I said, a couple weeks ago, and there was a little group shot of she's got her 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-year-old all with brand new backpacks. And then we gave mom a backpack too, because she's still in school. So, you've got all 4 of them lined up. Just, the most beautiful family, just ready to keep moving forward and being successful with being housed.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
I also wanted to bring Christina into the conversation. As you saw in the PowerPoint, she's been sharing our cultural arts and mental health workshops with families at Families Board. And thank you for joining us, Christina. I would love to hear some of your perspective of working with the families directly.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the presentation, Hannah. So I do the cultural arts workshops in one of the partner developer units, I learned is what it's called, in Orange. And it's a lovely facility, new, clean apartment complex. That would be beautiful. They actually look more like townhomes. I'm not sure if that's true, but um, really just nice, inviting facilities with a strong sense of community in them. And everyone has been so welcoming and excited for the art workshops. And like Hannah said, there's a lot of kids. It's a lively environment, but there are also some adults who have been coming regularly and really, really sinking in to the creative time that they have and enjoying it, and talking to me, sharing how much they enjoy it and how they're feeling relaxed and like, yeah, this was me time. And it's also very evident, just like the snippets that I see, it's evident the love and dedication that Hannah and Courtney put in into the community. I've seen like tangible resources being distributed. I saw the backpacks. I see grocery distribution. I hear them talking about STEM nights, cooking nights, parties that they like, a back to school party. I heard that they're planning a haunted house for Halloween. There is so many beautiful handmade decorations in the community room right now for Halloween from Miss Hannah. I've seen what I think are counselors or social workers maybe talking to someone while I'm getting set up. People come in and they just get the help that they need right there in their community where they live. It's really like a model community, like seems like an aspirational type of place to live where everyone knows their neighbors. There's childcare right on site. The resources that you need, you can get connected to by just walking a few feet away from your unit. You get the education, you get the counseling. And we've had great turnouts for our workshops there. I've had 20-ish people. Sometimes it is a full house. Everyone is in a great mood. Some of the kids you wouldn't know had been through a hard time because they're in such a loving and supportive community now. They're there with their parents or their grandparents, or maybe they're just there with their friends or their cousins who they get to live near. They get, yeah, really looking forward to the different types of stuff that we do. And then they're so proud of their stuff afterwards. And Hannah has a little gallery wall. They get to show it off. And it just, a really worthy cause if you're able to donate your time or resources or refer any clients or, people in the community that you need who would need services that they can offer. I would recommend it. I know you might not know me, but it's where I would send someone if I knew they needed help. Yeah, I really enjoy being welcomed into that community and the opportunity to work with the families and kids there.
Thank you so much, Christina. And I'm so happy because I know how much they appreciate you and our other teaching artists coming there. And yeah, Anna, we're just so honored to partner with you to serve these families, and you're accomplishing so much. So
And I just want to shout out Christina because she comes in that room and all the kids just like go and harass her. And she's got 5 kids asking her for stuff. And I'm like, there are 3 other adults in the room. Go ask someone else. And also, where the thing is you're asking for it. Stop trying to get Miss Christina. Miss Christina's too nice. Stop asking Christina and do it yourself. You know what you need. So I just want to shout out Christina. She's really made herself part of the community. And, I hope you're not going anywhere anytime soon because there will be some upset and heartbreak if you are. So.
Oh, no, I really enjoyed my time there and I appreciate your kind words and your just the community that you built there is so beautiful.
I think when an organization is led with compassion, everyone feels it. So
yeah,
thank you to Hannah and Christina for leading with compassion and really working to uplift people. I'd like to open it up to the rest of the group. If anyone has questions for Hannah, this would be the time. And you can unmute yourself, or if you want to put a question in the chat. Would love to hear from you.
Question. So, you mentioned something about cutting a check, and no, I'm sorry. I mean, you help people to get affordable housing, and then you put them into case managing to make sure they won't lose that housing. So, what resource and support you have to ensure that? Because I know cutting a check or anything, does it relate to something about laws and regulation as well? Like, do you advocate for laws and regulation to protect them by doing so? I'm sorry, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I think I have the general gist. You know, we do receive funding, both public and private, that we are putting towards housing families. And typically, when I say cutting the check, we're providing move-in assistance, right? Security deposit and prorated rent just to get them into the unit. You know, all families are being approved off of their income on paper. No one's getting approved that doesn't have income that will pay rent. So we're just giving them that initial push of like, here you are, you're not responsible for rent until next month when you're more stable, right? We are always advocating, of course, for better affordable housing and access. We're doing that more on the ground with developers and city officials that we partner with than on a larger level. But at the end of the day, you know, as much as we can advocate for a family, they are, you know, maybe they're not ready for that specific housing opportunity. So as much as we'll always advocate for a family that we're working with to never be evicted or pushed out of housing, there's only so much control we have in that situation legally, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else? And if anyone thinks of questions later or would like more information, I'm sure that we can connect you with Hannah or send more information after the meeting. And yeah. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. Like I said, again, we appreciate the work that you do. We appreciate you sharing this information, shedding light on misconceptions, and really empowering people to be active in their communities to help others. And I would like, now I think we will open it up, and I'll begin with Sarah, and we can give some partner updates. So Sarah Chalice will tell us a little bit more about what's going on at Connect OC.
Yeah. Thanks, Erin. Yeah, as far as events coming up, we have a ton of resource fairs in the works, in the planning stages. We have a couple next week or 2 weeks from now. We have one the following week. And then we have our big UCI and Cal State Fullerton events coming up in the springish, winterish season. But we are still in those planning stages. So if you are interested in being a vendor or your organization wants a table at one of these events, please feel free to email me. And we'll definitely put you on the vendor list for schools to look at. Yeah, I think those are our only program updates. I think I'll hand it back to Erin.
Thank you, Sarah. And on my end with the cultural arts and mental health workshops, as you saw what we were able to share with Families Forward, we do have workshops available to work with partner organizations. This is a fully funded program, so it's at no cost for our partner organization, and they include the teaching artists and supplies, and we come to the partner organization site. So if anyone has questions about the cultural arts program, you can reach out to me directly. And I believe I still need to put my contact info in the chat, but also you will see my follow-up email as well after the meeting. And so is any of our other partners like to share updates of programming that they have coming up?
If it's all right, I'd like to share a little something from State Council. And it was interesting to hear from Families Forward because affordable housing is such a challenge for so many communities, including State Council on Developmental Disabilities. We are actually trying to find affordable housing for people with developmental disabilities, and it's working with the developers, tax credits. It's like learning that whole language and how to actually get something developed is I'll be looking more at Families Forward and trying, and maybe if I could reach out to you at some point. And Scarlett Von Tennen, my supervisor, actually is leading that study in Orange County. But anyways, what we are doing State Council on Developmental Disabilities is every 5 years we get input from the community about what people need in terms of supports for disabilities. And it's an important survey. It's very bureaucratic, but Sacramento needs to see what the community needs. So if I'm going to put the survey in the chat, and if people, and I think a lot of us are nonprofits and community organizations that know this whole survey process. So if you can do this survey, it would really help us out to get the community feedback, especially if you work in communities that have disabilities. So thank you very much. And thanks for this opportunity for letting me speak. And
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it looked like intern OC, yes, you'd like to share info on an upcoming event?
Hi, so my name is Darlene, and I'm an intern at PP as well. So I forgot to change my name for Zoom. I'm sorry. So, so you asked about your work with homeless families, and actually, I plan on having a donation to buy food or like essential bag for like some homeless family. So I'm wondering if I can work with you or reach out to you later after the meeting so that you can help me to figure out when do I have to start. Like I don't know how to start yet because I have no experience with that. So I'm working on collecting the data and the areas to go and then visit them and hand out those essential bags. So I don't know if you have any support or resource to support me with that.
I think that's directed at me. Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out. You know, if you have a certain idea of what I always recommend is reaching out to individuals, agencies, and say what is actual the need. You know, a lot of people tend to drop off like hygiene kits or things with great intentions, and they may have too many of that thing, or it may not be useful to families or individuals that don't have access, like certain types of food, right, that require cooking, but they don't have a kitchen. So if you want to connect with me later, and I can always direct you based on what you're interested in, I'd be happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? I think that is it.
Sorry, am I able to share really quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josh. I'm the resource assistant with Thrive Together OC. I just wanted to share that we're offering trainings for free about psychosis risk and suicidality, and this is all offered from our doctor, Dr. Schiffman. And so my partner is going to drop the PDF of our trainings in the chat. And then I'll also add our email too. So if anyone's interested.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I appreciate that and look to support you in that. Well, if that is all for, any questions or partner updates, just once again, our thanks to Hanna Ibrahim and to Christina Montmyers. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing today. And as I bid you all farewell, I just ask that you take moments of compassion for yourself this weekend, maybe do some more mindfulness techniques and just give ourselves credit because, there is a lot going on, but everyone is working within communities, trying to accomplish a lot of work, and that work is valid and it's needed. And so just acknowledge your presence in this space and the work that you do for others. And take a moment to disconnect if possible. So
Erin, really quick, can you mention the next meeting since it's going to be a different time?
Yes, please. We have a very exciting meeting coming up. So here's Crystal.
Or I can share it. Thank you. Yeah, really quick. So our next coalition meeting is going to be at a different time and place. So we're going to do an in-person meeting. So we want to kind of give you guys a heads up now. So it's going to be Wednesday, October 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the OC Behavioral Health Training Center. So we're going to do a special presentation training topic on social media mental health. We're going to have, it's going to be a great presentation. We'll have some more information and a registration link once we have that, but we wanted to give you all kind of a heads up right away so that you can kind of put that, save the date on your calendar. And as soon as we have more information and a flyer, we'll get that all to you. Thanks, Erin.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, we're really excited about this one, and I think it's going to fill up quickly. So we'll get you that info that you can sign up and share within your network. All right, well, thank you, everyone. I'm gifting you a half hour back to your Friday, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.